Hey, what's up, guys? So this video is for new customers for Nintendo. If you never had a Nintendo Switch before, there was different versions of the Switch. The very first Switch that came out is called the version 1. Be careful of the version 1 because the battery life wasn't the best and it overheated, and even on my Switch version 1, the actual vent burned off like completely. I have no vent for my Switch anymore. Then they have something called Switch version 2. Basically, what that means is SoC, system on chip. That's the physical hardware inside the Switch that optimizes the battery. That's why the battery life on a Switch version 2 is better. Now, the main thing about the Switch is that you can dock it to the TV. And if you don't want to dock it to the TV, then they have something called the Switch Lite. The benefit for the Switch Lite is it's $200, and the only downfall is you can't connect it to the TV if you wanted to. Even if you get an HDMI, cable, it won't work. They made sure of that. But the main thing to know about the Switch OLED is probably to buy it if you want to play handheld, because when you dock it, it makes no difference how big the screen is because it's 1 inch bigger than the original Switch, and it has an OLED screen. But when it's docked, that makes no difference. It doesn't even matter. And the other thing that's very interesting is the Switch OLED isn't even a hardware upgrade. So the Switch OLED is very expensive compared to the Switch version 2 that you can dock to the TV. It's better off just paying $100 more for a Switch version 2 if you never had a Switch to begin with. I know that not everybody is going to be able to afford the Switch 2, and you might be getting a Switch for the first time. One thing that's awesome about the Switch is the game library. There are a lot of good games on the Switch. The only thing is, the performance isn't the best on all games. And that's an incentive to get the Switch 2, because you'll be able to download free updates to make the Switch 1 games perform better, whether that be frame rates per second and fidelity, whatever. I don't know. I can't know because it's not out yet. But my point is, even though I do hate Nintendo, I still want to help out people, especially that's never had a Switch to begin with. And for anyone that was wondering, the Switch 1 compatibility issues, the physical games are probably going to go up in price. And more importantly, people that buy the Switch 2 may buy a Switch 1 just to play the games that the Switch 2 can't play. So Nintendo's just making money off of new and old customers, Woohoo, Nintendo! That's so great for you, Nintendo. But I definitely got to say, I love the Switch, but out of all the Switches, I like the Switch version 2. I have nothing against the Switch Lite, but you can't actually connect it to the TV. But the Switch Lite is actually a pretty cool system, to be able to play the Switch handheld, and there's no let's say, negative impact on hardware. It's just a Switch. It just can't dock to the TV. Anyway, what do you guys think? Are you guys excited about the Switch 2? Oh yeah, and just to let you know, AI says that all Switches are getting GameCube. I'm not so sure about that. I would be very surprised if GameCube can work on a Switch 1. Um, I think that the GameCube is going to be exclusively for the Switch 2. I would love to be wrong. It doesn't matter if I'm wrong. I'll admit I'm wrong, right? And then it'll only benefit me because I have all the Switches. I have Switch 1, I have the Switch version 2, I have the Switch OLED, I have the Switch Lite, and soon to have the Switch 2. But I hope you guys liked the video. Thanks. Bye.